If you're homeschooling a teen, you know that equipping them for long-term success of adulthood means they need a lot more than just a few math, literature, and science credits. They need to know how to make a myriad of ordinary yet vital decisions every day, from budgeting to insurance to avoiding debt. Including personal finance instruction in the form of a consumer math homeschool curriculum can be a great option for many teens. And today I have the opportunity to talk to you about the Masterbooks Consumer Math Homeschool Curriculum, and there's going to be information about a giveaway, so make sure you watch the whole video. For those of you who are new around here, my name is Amy Sloan. I write at humilityandoxology.com, and I'm the host of the Homeschool Conversations with Humility and Doxology podcast. I'm a second-generation homeschooling mom of 5, including 2 homeschool graduates. So I love getting the opportunity to review a variety of curriculum, share that here with you, as well as share practical tips and encouragement. Both here on YouTube, on my blog, and through my podcast. And I hope you'll stick around and see all of the resources I have available to you. First, let's talk about what is consumer math. Consumer math teaches students how to apply math skills to real-life, practical financial situations. It covers topics like income and employment, budgeting, saving, banking, credit and debt management, housing, transportation, taxes, insurance, all that adulting stuff. For the Christian homeschooler, we also want to include discussion of stewardship, contentment, and other aspects of how a biblical worldview impacts the way we think about our money and other resources. I am sure many of us have had the experience of hearing another adult bemoan the fact that they learned a lot about, say, parallelograms in high school, but next to nothing about managing their money. Or maybe that's your experience and you want something different for your children. It's important for teens to take some form of consumer math before they graduate and leave our home because it equips them with practical skills they'll use every day as adults. They'll be able to understand real-world money decisions, avoid common financial pitfalls, build confidence and independence in managing their own finances, and prepare for their life after high school, whether that looks like college or beginning their own career. By learning how money works now, teens are better prepared to make wise financial choices later. Now, one big question is, can you use consumer math as a high school credit? It's important to understand what constitutes a high school credit, and so the first thing you need to know and understand is any legal homeschool requirements you need to follow in your state. You may have heard about the Carnegie unit, which typically defines one credit as around 120 to 180 hours of study. This takes into account instruction time, reading the text, homework, projects, tests, all of those things. But unless your state law specifically requires it, you probably don't need to log your time. In my opinion, for most college-bound teens, you likely need to plan to reach pre-calculus at a minimum by the end of high school. But for those teens who may have alternative plans after graduation, a consumer math course could totally count as one of your high school math credits. But every teen needs to have a solid foundation in financial literacy before they leave home. So even if you plan to pursue a more traditional 3 to 4 year math schedule for high school, I highly recommend including some sort of consumer math course, either in junior high or high school. It can count as an elective credit, but also it just provides a solid foundation for adult life. Now, let's look more specifically at the Consumer Math Homeschool Curriculum from Masterbooks. So I had the opportunity to look through this. The publisher sent it to me. I've read through much of the text myself. I had a teen look over it as well, and was able to really kind of dive into it and be able to share a little bit about it with you. So there are 2 parts to this. You have a student text as well as a teacher guide. The teacher guide is actually really helpful. So It gives clear understanding of the objectives of the course, how to teach the course, how to grade various assignments. It also gives a proposed schedule if you wanted to do like one lesson a week. The teacher guide is also where you're going to find your quizzes and worksheets. So there is a 2-page worksheet for every lesson. There's fill in the blank, matching, and a little bit of other work depending on the topic covered in the lesson. So this is definitely an open and go resource. The student can read each lesson on their own. Each lesson would take, is designed to do one lesson a day. Short lesson, worksheet to fill out, easy to grade, really doesn't require much, if any, preparation for the parent or the teacher. It could easily be something that you handed to your teen for them to work on independently. Another thing I really liked about the teacher guide is the pages are actually perforated and pre-hole punched. So if you wanted to just pull out the worksheets for that day or for that week, and that way you're not giving the answer key to your student as well. The Consumer Math for Master Books curriculum does not require any previous high school level math instruction. They suggest a student has taken up through pre-algebra previously, but the first lesson actually includes basic skill reviews for addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, percentage, things like that. There's also lots of opportunities to do mental math practice through the text. So the calculations used throughout the text and worksheets are all based on those really basic operations. A confident math student with a solid foundation in elementary math should have no trouble successfully navigating this course, even in 7th or 8th grade. For a struggling learner or someone who finds math a little bit more difficult, it would definitely be a gentle math credit in high school. I think most teens would be able to incorporate this as an elective course in their high school years, 9th through 12th grade, in addition to whatever more challenging math course they're taking in their plan. So it's really flexible, and I think could meet the needs of many different kinds of teens in many different kinds of contexts. So the curriculum is divided into 4 quarters, 20 lessons, 180 days worth of worksheets and tests. And really the topics covered are incredibly varied. So the first quarter starts with big picture key skills, talking about giving, living expenses, even things like needs versus wants and your lifestyle choices, savings, compound interest, debt, taxes. So just those very basic things that we all need to understand about adult life. The second quarter is focused on budgeting. So even a little bit of basic spreadsheet understanding, how to budget for medical expenses, long-term big expenses. Quarter 3 moves more into those financial decisions, those big decisions like cars, career, housing, things like that. And then the final quarter is application, investments, and final review. So this even includes things like how to double and half a recipe, how to convert units, basics of investing, mechanics for retirement, and a little bit about business math and business taxes. The student textbook includes all the instruction needed. Like I said earlier, I had one of my teens look through it. She found it easy to read and understand. The teacher guide includes the weekly lesson schedule, quizzes and tests, daily student worksheets, and the answer key. So 2 books, open and go. If you are wanting something that your teen can use independently, that's going to be easy to grade with daily worksheets, quizzes, and tests, this would be a great option for you. There's not going to be a whole lot of extra projects or things you're going to have to navigate as the teacher. I also really appreciated how big picture ideas are included throughout the text. For example, it's not enough to just understand how to budget for items like clothing, housing, food, it's even more important to understand what the Bible has to say about being a good steward of our resources and having a content, joyful heart toward what God provides. I also appreciated the reminders that giving and generosity are part of a biblical ethic of responsible financial stewardship. And the case studies that you find throughout the text, throughout the student text, really give real life stories of individuals and families implementing and experiencing the topics covered. So you'll have sections often where it'll have like a little arrow, and this is something to keep in perspective. So that's a little like big picture perspective. And then I'm trying to find real quickly one of the case studies. So here at the end of the section on cars, for example, is a case study talking about the contentment aspect, a story of a real person and their experience with that topic. I do wish there had been a little bit more exploration and practice with reconciling a budget. So it talks extensively about setting up a budget, but that process of balancing what has gone through the bank versus what hasn't yet, especially in this day and age where so much digital transactions are occurring regularly, I think could have been explored a little bit more. There was one lesson near the end of the book that briefly mentioned it being important. I think it would be helpful for students to get a little more practice on how to implement this skill. I do also have some concerns that consumer math might be used as an easy math high school credit when perhaps an alternate or additional math course might be a better fit for your students' long-term academic goals. So I really encourage you to start with the big picture, your long-term goals. Make sure you leave all the options open, doors available to your students. I wholeheartedly believe every teen should receive consumer math, financial literacy education. I also believe that many, if not most, teens should, in addition, be challenged to pursue a rigorous high school math curriculum. So there is my little perspective as a homeschool mom with 2 graduates. Master Books is actually giving away the set of student and teacher books to one lucky winner. And so I'm going to put the link in the description for this video so you can enter for your chance to win this brand new consumer math homeschool curriculum from Master Books. If you have any questions, definitely let me know. Also, I'm going to put a link in the description to a blog post that is corresponding to this video. There, I go into a lot more detail with the topics covered in consumer math. Like I actually put in the table of contents so you can see all of the topics. And there are a few pictures from inside that may be easier to zoom in on in a way you can't as well see on a video. So I'm so glad you are here. I hope you will take a moment to subscribe so you don't miss future videos. And until next time, happy homeschooling.